Welcome to the 420 Somewhere podcast. I'm your host, 420. The first segment I'm going into is Weed 101. So this is where we go into what strain I'm smoking. So this strain that I have here that I'm sparking up right now, it's Pineapple Express. Pineapple Express, guys. It is a sativa leaning hybrid. It's literally 60% sativa and 40% indica. So pretty much a hybrid, but it's leaning on the sativa side, which is why I like it. It's uplifting. It'll make me fall asleep or pass out. Like, I fucks with it. Let's see. It's the parents of the strain Hawaiian and Trainwreck. Trainwreck I've had before, but Hawaiian I've never had. I've never even seen Hawaiian. So I'm like, okay, those are their parents. The parents of Pineapple Express. And what I find funny is when I was doing my research on this strain, they were saying that Pineapple Express is actually what other people describe as a strong moisture current off of Hawaii that extends over the Pacific North to the North America coast. So it literally just transfers moisture, like moisture from the water. It just transfers from coast to coast. And it's a storm. That's what they fucking named the strain after, is the Hawaiian, like, storm currents. Like, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. You learn something new every fucking day. So the origins of this, G13 Labs, they're the ones that claim that they created the strain, which there's a lot of back and forth because they said that they created this in the early 2000s. People are saying this strain wasn't discovered until 2008, which I feel like is a lie. Like, it was definitely early 2000s, so I kind of believe them. But it was in California. Obviously, that's where all the fucking weed is. Growers will have an easy time growing this strain indoors because it takes it intakes the moisture very well. So if you have moisture in the air, if you live in a moisture climate like Florida, like, it eats that shit up. It loves the moisture. It loves being outdoors. So if you don't have a lot of moisture, if you're like in dry ass Arizona, you're going to need to plant that shit indoors. Just letting you know for all the growers watching this. In case you wanted to grow some Pineapple Express, you got to have moisture. It survives, it thrives on moisture. Letting y'all know that right now. And cures symptoms of chronic depression, chronic pain, fatigue, migraines, and loss of appetite. Which makes sense because, I feel like weed just automatically cures the appetite portion of it. Sorry, my phone went out. Anyways, let's see. It tastes like, it's kind of like citrusy, fruity, like almost like a pineapple taste to it. When you smell it, it's like so citrusy and sweet. That's why I liked it, because I smelled the bag. I was like, ooh, that smells like candy. I like it. And they were like, oh, Pineapple Express. And I was like, you know what? I've seen the movie. Never smoked the strain. I think I probably did, but I could see it. It's a small ass nuggie, but it's like green. So I wrote here shades of deep green and tinges of burnt orange burgundy hairs. So it has a little bit of burgundy hairs to it. It's mine, the one I have is like a darker shade of green, but I've seen like pictures of other Pineapple Expresses that are like a lighter shade of the deep green. So it's pretty much wherever you get it from, wherever it's grown. Now we going into edibles 101. My favorite topic, because those of y'all that know me know that I make edibles. I'm an edibles connoisseur. Okay, so in edibles 101, we're going to be learning how to make cannabis tincture. That's right, tincture. Because I know a lot of people don't know what the hell that is. They're like, what the fuck is tincture? Well, it's essentially weed mixed with some grain alcohol, usually like vodka, like Everclear type shit. You basically combine the two. So there's two ways of making it. You can do like the stovetop method, which I don't really recommend. It's to heat up alcohol. It's very dangerous. Like even baking it, like it's just super, you have to be careful because you could essentially blow up your fucking oven trying to do it. Shit is crazy. But so here's the steps to make cannabis tincture. So first of all, you need to find your ratio. So I use the magical butter machine. It's a fucking lifesaver, let me tell you. Lifesaver and time saver. Like, I know my shit is gonna be cooked and ready to go. Like, I just leave it, let it do its thing. Excuse me. So the weed that I use about 1/2 ounce of like some good ganja, some good shit. Not so fucking shake, not some fucking whack ass bud that you got for cheap. No, you're gonna need to use more if you're gonna use the cheap shit. But I use 1/2 ounce of premium cannabis. And then I use about 2 cups of the Everclear alcohol. That's all I need to yield my mixture. But let's say if you wanted to do, instead of 2 cups, you want to do 4. You're going to use a whole ounce of the premium cannabis that you get. And if you're using shake, you're going to just double that, because shake just loses its potency as it's just sitting there in the bag. Y'all don't know it, but that fucking stale smell, yeah, that means this shit ain't potent anymore. But anyways, so now we go into the steps. I just wanted to break down the ratios. So first, you're going to decarb your cannabis. So you're going to essentially bake it. I bake mine at 225 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes in the oven. And you can't just like plop it on a tray and just put it in the oven. Like, no, you actually have to kind of make a box. They call it, so they sell decarb boxes, but I just make my own. Like, I just line a bunch of tin foil on the pan, put the weed on it, then put it over. Put some aluminum foil over it, so it's like a little box, and it's just like a smoky box. And don't let no smoke come out, because then you're gonna lose the decarbing process. So you want to wait till it's done decarbing the weed, and then once your weed is fully decarbed and cooled off a little bit, because that motherfucker's hot as hell, you're gonna add the alcohol to the magical butter machine, your 2 cups or your 4, and then you're gonna put your cannabis in there in the machine. So you put the alcohol first, then your fucking weed, right? That's already decarbed. And then here's the easiest part. Once you have all that shit in, you literally just set your magical butter machine. Has different settings. So it has a setting for butter, a setting for oil, a setting for tincture. Like, it has separate buttons for each. That's why I fucks with that machine heavy to make edibles. It's gonna be your best friend. Seriously worth the investment. They're not paying me to say this. I wish they were, but so you're gonna set it to, I think it's 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And I do mine, well, there's an 8-hour setting, but I don't need the whole 8 hours for 2 cups. I usually do like 4 to 5 hours for the tincture mixture. So once that's done, after the 4 or 5 hours, or 8 if you want to leave it in there, the longer you leave it in there, the more potent and the stronger taste it is. So I'm like, after 4 or 5 hours, I think I'm good. Like, it's potent as hell, the taste isn't that crazy. So I feel like if you leave it in there for 8, it's gonna taste hella weedy. If y'all like that, then leave it in there for the whole 8. Why not? So once you're done, once your magical butter machine beeps and it's like, hey, I'm done, I'm ready, then you're gonna take, the top off, and then they give you like a strainer bag to strain the weed, because you gotta strain the weed from the tincture that you just made, because there's like chunks of like leftover weed bits and stems and shit. You don't want that shit in your mixture, so you're gonna strain that shit out. And then after you're done straining it, then you're gonna put it in one of those amber glass bottles. It has to be a dark colored glass. So it could be like amber glass or like those blue glass jars. But you want to make it like kind of like a Heineken bottle, or like beer that's like a dark colored beer. Like, has to be in dark glass usually. So that's pretty much the same with tincture, and you're gonna store it in a cool, dry environment. So you want to like as low to the floor, because you know how heat rises, so you don't want it all the way up top with all like your cooking heat and shit. So I usually, I store mine the bottom shelf, like the lowest shelf that I have, all the way in the back. Make sure it's cool in wherever you store it. This is Convo and Chill, my segment where I just kind of talk about whatever the fuck I want. It's not weed related by any means, but it's a good time. So I'm talking about online dating, men's perspective and what they go through versus women's perspective and what their challenges are for online dating. So women's, like, we honestly, when I did online dating, it was horrible. I've had some like weird stories. My friends have had weird stories too. One of my friends was telling me she met up with this guy from freaking Bumble, and he was like weirdly obsessed with Batman. Like, he loved Batman. And that was their first time meeting. So he literally showed up in a Batman's costume. Like, she was literally like, this nigga was obsessed with Batman. Like, I didn't realize how much the obsession was until he met up with me in person and had a fucking Batman costume on. And he was like, oh, would you be my Robin? Like, what? That's fucking crazy. So we have to deal with the weirdos on there. There's a lot more fucking weirdo guys on there, I think, than weirdo girls. But I could be wrong. You never know. I got two different perspectives on this scenario. But we got dry ass combos. Because apparently guys don't know how to like come up with interesting topics to talk about. Like, y'all just are okay fumbling the ball and letting the fucking conversation just die. Like, to the point where we don't want to answer because it's just that dry. It's like, all right, moving on. Like, I fucking hate small talk. Stop saying, hey, how was your day? How are you doing? Like, just fucking get to the point. You want to ask me out? Just fucking ask me out. Or like, I don't know. You want to know something? Ask me a question. Okay? Don't be weird. Don't be weird. So, and then there's a lot of perverts on online dating for females. Like, when you're a female signing up for like, okay, I'm looking for a man to date and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of penises. Like, you guys don't see it because when the guys sign up, obviously for online dating, they're saying they're interested in women, so you just see all the girls. Y'all don't see the guys on there. The selection of men are just atrocious. There's a lot of like selfies with no smiles. They're just straight looking at the camera like, okay, this is a good one. Let me just take a picture. Like, no, you gotta smile. Look genuinely happy. Like, I don't know. Like, get a female to review your picture before you put it on Tinder or any dating app. I'll just tell you right now, we fucking consider that shit. I know I do. Because I'm like, why isn't he smiling? Is he a serial killer? Who knows? But, so perverts, yeah, there's a lot of dick pics on there. Literally, I'll just be scrolling and I see pictures of people's dicks. Like, how and why? That doesn't make me want to talk to you. Having a dick pic in your arrangement of photos, like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Usually people save that for like when you're talking intimately and you're like, hey, here's a dick pic. Like, no, you just out for everybody to see. Everybody's scrolling. They don't even gotta match with you to see what your dick looks like. Like, what? Just self-respect, guys. A little goes a long way. Females are always looking for something serious on apps that are just like hookups. And I'm one of those people. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I could find a relationship off Bumble or fucking Tinder. Like, yeah, we're all looking for love on Tinder. Come on, bitch, think. I wasn't thinking. I was just like, oh, well, maybe online's the best way because it's COVID and nobody's going outside anymore. Yeah, no. So we just stick solo dolo. Don't be doing that. All right, so now we go into the men's perspective of online dating, and I feel bad because y'all don't really get responses. Like, guys will tell me, like, listen, I fucking deleted my dating app because y'all bitches don't talk. Like, y'all don't say hi. You guys don't initiate the conversation. We just stay matched and, like, nobody talks. And I'm like, that's true. That's true. And he's like, oh, well, when we do make the first move, then you guys still don't want to respond. And I'm like, yeah, that's also true. I'm sorry. Like, it literally is true to the point where it's just like, again, dry conversation has a lot to do with it. But you know what? I can't speak for every female. Maybe there is a female that's like, oh, I don't really want to respond to him because, I don't know, maybe I found somebody else. They don't feel the need to just verbalize that or talk. They this generation and they're ghosting. They just don't want to talk. So there's that. Apparently we do a lot of that to the guys on there. Then apparently there's a shit ton of catfish, like a shit ton. And I'm like, you know what? Honestly, I don't see any catfish guys on there. Like, there is not a single catfish guy because it's like, what? Like, I don't know. I feel like we as females are too smart to be catfish. And I'm just speaking for the confident ones because maybe the not so confident ones are just like more susceptible to getting catfished. But I'll smell bullshit from a mile away. But most of y'all are like just your true selves on the internet. Just have pictures of you, pictures of your dick. Like, y'all don't even need to catfish. But apparently women do that a lot on dating apps. They catfish. And 9 times out of 10, it's a man catfishing as a woman to catfish other guys. Like, it's like you're catfishing yourselves, your own gender. And another one is the OnlyFans content. A lot of these females on OnlyFans, they get on these dating apps like Tinder and Bumble to promote their content. So like, you're genuinely like, oh, this girl, she looks pretty, I want to meet up with her. Like, guess what? You're not going to meet up with her. You're not going to chat with her without spending some dough. That's all I'm saying. She not here for dating. She here for OnlyFans and her content, bringing her subscribers up. Okay, sis, you do it. You do the damn thing. So this brings me into the next segue into that, which is the new Netflix documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen it or heard about it, but it's called The Tinder Swindler. It's fucking gnarly. I'm gonna watch it tonight. I did a little bit of research on it because I heard about it on the radio and I was like, what? The Tinder Swindler. And it basically, it's this man. Okay, I'm gonna read you the thing. He swindled $10 million out of Tinder dates. Literally, okay, his name is Shimon Hyatt. He told people that his name was, okay, what was it? Hold on. Told people that his name was Simon Lviv or Lviv, but it's apparently this big, rich diamond store owner. He's like very well known. He was basically trying to portray it to be the son of this person, and that's not true. So he was on Tinder catfishing a whole bunch of people. Like, it was literally like to the point where they would have meetups with him. Like, he would take them to 5-star restaurants and do private jet plane trips and stuff. Meanwhile, how he got the money was through some fucking just having another catfish. Like, he was literally like catfishing bitches on bitches, like scheming bitches. He was like, all right, well, you're gonna give me the money, I'm gonna take this bitch out on a date with that money, and then we're gonna keep the cycle going. So literally $10 million this man stole. I'm like in disbelief. Like, and then within several weeks, like, this is how he got the money. He asked to borrow money because his life was in danger and he was gonna get murdered. So he literally took pictures of himself covered in blood and like beat the fuck up. And he was like, oh, I need like, $100,000 or else my life depends on it. Like, I'm in danger. And they actually believed him. The Tinder swindler. They actually fucking gave him money because he was claiming his life was in danger and he was gonna die, basically. And of course, like, you're having sex with this man. He's taking you out on private jet planes and 5-star hotels and shit. So you're going to believe that he's like at least kind of wealthy. But little do you know, he's doing a whole scheme on top of schemes on schemes. Basically like the Ponzi scheme. If y'all familiar with the Ponzi scheme, it's pretty much like that. Like, motherfuckers, I was like, wow. So he got discovered because bitches was literally like, all right, they was catching on to him. They're like, all right, this doesn't seem right. Like, something, I smell some shit. So they had an investigative reporter look into him and basically get all these confessions from different women and all this evidence. And that's how he got locked up. So he got locked up for 2 years and he got out early. Like, this motherfucker is just out on bail. He's released. Like, it was May of 2020 because of COVID, apparently. Because of COVID. This motherfucker got released and is just roaming the streets right now. So their form of revenge was to make this Netflix documentary and talk about him. Like, talk about their story. They show his face everywhere. Like, this motherfucker, you may be out of prison, but now the whole world knows what the fuck you did and like how much of a fucking scumbag you are. Like, literally, bitches were giving him $200,000. I don't even understand how somebody can portray themselves as like a rich person and then like be some type of whole fucking broke. Like you use money that another bitch gave you to take one bitch out and then another bitch shopping. Like what? Wow, that's just crazy. And like these bitches were telling him that, you know, they love him. Like it was like a whole relationship. They were talking about marriage and kids. Like, wow. And he would just go on for so long. If I said my life was in danger, they'd be like, you need to call the police. You need to go to the cops. Like, no, I'm just gonna send you the money. Like, come on. Fucking bullshit. So thank y'all for listening, because that was a whole lot of shit that I talked about. To weed, to edibles, and to motherfucking catfish on Tinders. It was a good time. It's a good time for a second podcast episode. Cheers, guys.